Hey there, thanks so much for dropping by and checking out this short video. This is one of my in-car talk videos, and this particular video is going to talk about, well, I'm going to talk about this particular book. It's called Mosaic Lifestyles. It's not one of my adventure series or anything like that, but I'll tell you what, there's a few adventures in here. This is my autobiography. Of course, it's not a very thick book. It's only like not even a couple hundred pages, and it's a short read. Maybe it'll take you 2.5, 3 hours to get through it, if you get through it. But over the years, I've always thought, even going back 30, 35 years, gee, I'd like to either keep a diary or maybe write a book about things that have been happening to me in my life. And I start off with, what it's not going to cover everything, of course, but I did want to touch on some of the interesting things that happened to me and our family, because we were Hungarian refugees from the 1956 Hungarian Revolution, and we escaped from Hungary. We were pretty much forced to because of my dad's involvement with the freedom fighters. He was blowing up Russian tanks. And having said that, I just want to make it perfectly clear that I think the Russian people are absolutely fantastic. Beautiful people, wonderful culture. I spent quite a bit of time over there as the years went by, and the winds of change blew me back across the Atlantic. So I spent some time living and working in Russia. So fabulous! It's the frickin' governments that are the evil entities sometimes in society, I suppose. But what I wanted to tell you about was how we came to Canada, some of the trials and tribulations, some of the hardships that we went through, devastating hardships that we were poorer than church mice. I got to tell you, when my baby brother, who is only 6 years younger than me, when he was born a couple of months after we got to Canada, we were so poor that my brother actually slept in a drawer. We didn't even have a crib, nothing. So we were pretty darn poor. And but you know what? As poor as my mom and dad were, and as poor as we were as a family, being new Canadians, and back then, it wasn't like today. Back in the late 50s, early 60s, 60s, I think it was John Diefenbaker. I think he was the prime minister, and things were different back then, totally different. There wasn't English immersion programs for refugees. There wasn't all this housing assistance, for the first 2 years, and the things that Afghani refugees and Syrian refugees get together. None of that. None of that ever. Yeah. So we were poor. We were given 2 or 3 weeks in a government motel facility. And after that, boy, we were on our own. And so anyway, it was really tough. But like I was going to say, within 4 years after arriving in Canada, actually, I think it was, 4 years, my mom and dad, who didn't know a word of English when they got here. You know what? After 4 years, they put a down payment on a home, on a house. How does that happen today? I just don't think it does. But, that's indicative of the values, the ethics, and the hard work that paid off to a certain degree. We by no stretch of the imagination were we rich, or even, I think throughout our lives we were probably just a little bit under middle class. We had some great opportunities, we had a lot of fun, and some tough times, of course, like all families. But I wanted to touch on things in this book about my career, how I got into the hotel business and the international hotel business, the gallivanting around the world that I've been doing, some of the friends and relationships I've had, my wonderful relationship with my younger brother Jim, and there's a little interesting story there, which I'm just going to interject here. With me being born in Hungary and coming to Canada, I was a naturalized Canadian citizen, whereas my brother, he was born here, so he's like a true blue 100% Canuck, right? And the difference between him and I, although we both speak Hungarian because my parents spoke Hungarian, so that was the first language we learned, and so so we're bilingual. But the thing is that even though my brother speaks Hungarian and knows, our history like the back of his hand, he doesn't have the roots or the desire like I had to go back and visit my homeland and to actually be amongst Hungarian people for the first time in my life. Because after leaving Hungary in 1956, when we escaped, after that, really the only people I spoke Hungarian with for virtually my whole life was my mom and dad. That was it, because we were living in Canada. It was so I spoke English to everyone except my mom and dad, and it was a strange thing going back to Hungary and visiting in '93. And here's a really strange thing. It's incredible how the winds have changed. Just blow me across the Atlantic, and I find myself in 1993 standing in Red Square working in Moscow, Russia. So times change, right? And there I was. And from there, one weekend, I took a 4-day excursion to Budapest, Hungary. This was when I was 42, I guess, and that would be 37 years after I left Hungary. I went back to Budapest for the very first time, and boy, oh boy, was that ever an eye-opener. I absolutely loved it there. It was, I knew I was Hungarian, but it was really, honestly, the very first time in my life that I felt like I was a Hungarian, because I was able to firsthand witness the country's food, the country's culture, the incredible music, and the arts over there. And interestingly enough, I had met a young lady over in Moscow when I was working there, and her and I went to Budapest that particular weekend together, and we had a wonderful time. And then here's the thing, this is 37 years later after I left, and that was the first time that I laid eyes on my grandmother from my mother's side. Boy, oh boy, I was only there for 4 days. I didn't meet her until my last day, and after we left, which is a couple days later, she passed away. So I got to meet her. Isn't that something? And then there's a whole bunch of other stories in here. Some of the crazy things I've done, some of the funny things that happened in the hotel industry. Let me tell you, there's a ton of hotel stories that I can go on and on about for days. There's one particular story in here, which is entitled, you're gonna laugh. It's called the Mile High Club. Yeah, it's kind of like that, but you'll have to read it. And I lived in Florida for 20 years. I know Florida like the back of my hand, and there's some interesting stories regarding my time in Florida. And actually, I don't think this is in the book, but I came back to Canada. I was motivated to come back. My house got destroyed pretty much twice within 3 months by 2 different hurricanes. Yeah, so, and my mom was getting elderly, and she needed me around, and I didn't want to have my brother assume the burden of having to take care of my mom exclusively on his own. So it was time for me to pack up my bags and leave the USA behind. After it's all said and done, I miss Canada, and here I am back in the snow, and I just love it here. So, yeah, so check out my book. I think you might enjoy it. Something in there for everybody, okay? And let me know what you thought. It's available on Amazon in both ebook and paperback, so give it a shot. Let me know what you thought. If you can, try doing something nice for somebody today, and make sure you keep smiling. Thanks so much. Have a fantastic day. I'm Frank Julius. Bye-bye.